Welcome to One-on-One with TJK, ladies and gentlemen. This is a day God has given us. We rejoice and praise Him, and the whole world says Amen. We are excited here at TJKshares, TJK team, to be hosting a friend of mine, a professional. We have told you over and over that we will bring you ordinary people doing extraordinary work, here to learn, relearn, and unlearn some things. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have Paul in our studios, virtual studios. So my brother, my friend, an amazing employee of Nyaka organization. Please welcome TJK. Take a minute and share just a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Jackson, for that introduction. Just the light part of me, I'm Paul Nzerebende. I'm born and raised in Uganda. I'm married with 3 children, 2 daughters and 1 boy. And my wife is also from Uganda. I'm approaching my mid-30s anytime from now. And I'm so glad to have reached that age. It has not been easy, but I'm so happy that I've made it that way. I am a professional with an academic background in economics and statistics, but I've also pursued other studies in monitoring and evaluation at postgraduate, and a master's of statistics, but also a master's in monitoring and evaluation. I do all this so that I become efficient in my work, I get more knowledge, and I should be able to deliver whenever I'm called upon, including even the work that I'm doing at Nyaka right now. And talking about Nyaka, for 2 years and around 5 months, I've been working as the monitoring and evaluation manager, but also supporting with accountability and learning for the Nyaka programs. And you know, the job has been all about ensuring that our M&E department at Nyaka grows, becomes more standardized, and helps the organization to measure the programs that we are doing, but also to grow the way we document our success, our numbers, and the way we present them at an impact level. So basically, that's it about me. And maybe we shall discuss more as we go into the conversation. Thank you for hosting me, and I'm so glad. I've been waiting for this day, and I'm so glad it has come.
I am so glad you are here, Paul. I'm so glad and happy and excited about the work you do, technology-wise. Recently, I had a conversation with another young man. If you say you are in 30s, I call you a young man. I had a conversation with another young man, and I will make sure I introduce you to him, Hamza, whose parents are from Palestine, not Palestine. Pakistan. Palestine is in the news, so it's been Palestine, Israel, all that. Hamas are all in the news, so that's why his parents are from Pakistan, and he's doing a PhD in mathematics, applied science, and neuroscience here at Harvard University. Every time I speak to Hamza, it reminds me of you, and part of his knowledge base, he has earned it himself, self-teaching. But before we get there, you introduced your lovely wife. She will be so happy you did that, your lovely children. Tell us about your growing up. Talk about mommy, daddy, siblings, where you grew up, and who were your heroes or mentors at a young age.
Yeah, my growing up, when I started understanding at around the age of 6, I realized that my dad was a reverend in the Church of Uganda, or in the Anglican Church.
Yes.
And you know, we grew up being told that being a reverend makes you a servant. And many times during then, we didn't have so much money at home. We lived in the village in Kasese, very far from Kampala city. We lived in the village, with a lot of struggles. And Jackson, you know how our rural communities are. When you are in the rural area of Uganda, what we usually call last mile, and you are in that remote area, there are very many struggles. Access to clean water is so hard. Access to medical care is so hard. You basically survive on what you grow in the garden. It's rare to eat meat. And also the income at the household is too little, so you don't have you don't have a laptop. You're not getting the best education. You're going to school while walking, and also you don't put on the most expensive clothes. So I would say the growing up was so humble. We are 6 children, but thank God all of us have completed, and we've graduated. We are doing various things. Later on, as I continued growing, my dad elevated to become a bishop in South Rwenzori Diocese.
Wow.
And you know, that was a blessing. It opened very many doors for us, because coming from a rural area where he was serving as a reverend and then later becoming a bishop meant that we moved from the village to the diocese headquarters in town. And I think that's where most doors opened. He then took us to better schools. That's how I ended up in Intari School from senior 1 up to senior 6.
Yes.
That's how my sister ended up at Uganda Christian University, and my brother, I went to Chambogo. And so God opened that door that way. I don't know how God did it, but that's what he did. And so the happy ending came when we all started graduating. We've built career. My sister is now staying in Canada, and she's supporting parents back home. I'm in Uganda enjoying the Nyaka work. My other brother is working in Kampala, and the other one is also working at a hospital. So I would say it has been a blessing, Jackson. We are raising children, grandchildren for them, and they are in retirement. They have a huge retirement house, and they're just there, 3 people, them and the worker. So it's a huge testimony, but I'll leave it there for now. Yes.
Wonderful. Would you say your mom and dad were your mentors and heroes and hero when you were growing up?
Yes. During those difficult financial times, they did everything to make sure that we are not absorbed in the rural setting. They struggled and made sure we keep studying even when they had little money. They made sure our characters were good. They did everything to make sure that we survive the hardships and the deprivations of the rural area. So my dad and mom stepped up for us. And I would say that who we are today, it's because of their hard work. Church leaders serving with almost no pay, but they educated us, and here we are.
Oh, I'm looking forward to meet Bishop Nzerebende. I make sure he sees this interview when it goes up. Because as parents, I'm a parent of 4. As parents, we don't tell our children how much we love them in our societies and how much we are proud of them. But also as children growing up in our societies, we don't tell our parents how much we appreciate them and how much we appreciate the sacrifices. They went through the traumas to get us to be where we are. So to mom and dad, thank you. You heard it from Paul, and he speaks for all other children. And one of these days, all 6 of you need to make a video for them and tell them how much you love them, proud of them, so they can keep watching it over and over and over. That's our parental section of things. Thank you. Again, that is very, very, very good. And as we raise our children, we need to learn, relearn, and unlearn some things, including that affirmation of parents and also our children. You chose to study statistics and economics and now monitoring and evaluation. What inspired you to get into those subjects? Was it accidental, or did you become curious and chose that area, monitoring and evaluation specifically? How did you land on it?
Yeah, so Jackson, you know, when you're coming from the village and you've grown up with this mindset of knowing that some children are studying, they're in Kampala, others have traveled abroad, and for you, you're coming from a humble family, you want to challenge yourself.
Yes.
When we were growing up, I wanted to become an engineer. And so I knew that to become an engineer, I had to do mathematics, physics, and economics, at least as the minimums. But when I completed my senior 6 and I applied to Chambogo University, I put in mechanical engineering as my first course. I also put economics and statistics. Those are the 2 courses I applied for. I was like, if I become an engineer, it's okay, I'll do it.
Yes.
If I don't, then I'll become a statistician and work in the bank. If I don't work in the bank, then I'll work in a non-profit organization. So Chambogo University gave me economics and statistics, and that's how I ended up becoming an M&E specialist. So I took that second path. I worked in the bank for 4 years. Then I transitioned to NGO. It's been 7 years of huge success. I've worked with very many organizations, and that's how I ended up featuring and majoring in M&E up to date.
So for somebody who's seated there listening to us, especially young people, and going, when I grow up, I want to be like Paul. I want to do monitoring and evaluation. What would you tell them to try to concentrate on now?
Yeah, I think there are like 3 things that I did when I was studying. 1, I told myself that as a Christian young man who comes from a clergy family with Christian values, I told myself that while I'm studying, I'll aim at passing highly, but while not doing very many sins. At University Jackson, I was still a virgin, even when everyone else wasn't. And I was the ambassador of abstinence at the university. It looked crazy.
I never knew that. How come you have not tweeted about it?
Yeah, I knew that was the right thing to do because I believed, they used to teach us that God blesses the meek, the humble. But also I knew that when I don't oversin, then God will bless everything I do. Jackson, I got my first job before graduating. Equity Bank called me when I was almost finishing my degree. They hired me because they told me that I'm brilliant, I'd passed properly my exams. And so by the time I graduated, I had a job while my colleagues did not have. I've never been on street looking for a job. So the principle of don't oversin, but work so hard and pass, it worked for me. And that's what I would wish for everyone. And that's what I usually tell my friends. That guys, while at campus, don't oversin. If you sin, let it be by accident, but don't sin intentionally. Then number 2, pass your exams and gain knowledge. When you do that, God blesses you, He favors you, and then you succeed. You get a job before you even finish. That's what I believed. Then number 2, know what you think you're supposed to do when you grow up. I had 2 things: become an engineer or become a statistician. Become an engineer so that I can fix the roads, build homes. I wasn't sure whether it was civil or mechanical, but I knew I was supposed to be an engineer. Though I made a decision to apply for mechanical at Chambogo. And I was like, if that fails, I should become a statistician and work in the bank. Why work in the bank? I should be able to help the bank grow their finances, understand how their money is growing and how it's impacting lives. Lucky enough, when I became a statistician, the NGO world had also started growing and developing. And that's how, after banking, Raising the Village called me to go and support their M&A. And of course, I've supported very many other organizations, and even up to now with Nyaka, it's not only Nyaka, but it's also other organizations that we are partnering with. So those are the principles, Jackson, knowing what I would want to be and working towards it, but also living a life where I'm not annoying God so much. I would call it living an exemplary life, a disciplined life, and a life where you have good values that add to a good life. Yes.
Very good, Paul. The thing that really impresses me, in addition to your hard work, and I know Sean who started Raising the Village, the work they have done in Kisoro, all that corridor, Kisoro, Kabale, Kanungu, the value of data-driven decisions. That's what led us to you. I remember when Ted, our COO, spoke with you and came to my office and said, Jackson, we need a Paul in Nyaka. How do we go about it? And you helped us actually develop the job position, what we need to look for. Then when we advertise it and we ended up getting the prize, we got you. The thing I would like to talk about that really has impressed me is how much you invest in reading, in research, and self-teaching. We have many people who sit in their homes and wherever they are, whether it is the bar or the TV somewhere, and they always want to be fed information. If you tell them apply to a university, they want you to apply for them, pay the application fee. Spoon feeding. Babies are spoon fed. The Bible is clear. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. When I became a man, I spoke as a man. People still want to be children, even when they're adults and fathers and grandfathers. I know some grandfathers who still act like children. You have self-taught yourself, and you were featured with Survey CTO, which you did at Nyaka, and now it's going to be presented. Your findings, your presentation is going to be at a conference in Washington, D.C., featuring Nyaka Health clinics and the M&E, you and your department, what you did with M&E. Please talk about that drive to learn, to read, to follow up. I am at Harvard University, and Paul posts more Harvard Review articles on Twitter than me, who is here. Since you are reading those review articles, you are following what is happening around the world while you are doing work in Kanunga and Mbarara. So please encourage people and share where that drive comes from, and encourage people to read. As an author, 7 books, writing the 8th now, I love when people dig deep and read.
Yeah, Jackson, you've already summarized it all. You know, there are people who thrive in spaces where innovation, creativity, innovation, creativity, and efficiency thrives. For example, me, from my early times, I only thrive in a space where I'm given freedom to create, to think, to create, to innovate, and also become efficient. And that helped me, especially when I was in the bank. The bank had systems, everything was automated. All you needed to do was do the transaction, and the reports will come, and everything will come by itself. However, when I joined the NGO space, I realized that people are using paper. A survey or at one household can use 50 papers. 50 papers times 3,000 grandmothers whom you're surveying, that's almost a truck full of paper. Yes, and you haven't even digitized it. When it has been collected, they bring to a room, then they hire 40 people to come and begin entering figure by figure. They make errors. By the time you write the impact report or the evaluation report or the report you want to do, it's 1.5 years. But Jackson, along the way, I realized that technology is the best way to do monitoring and evaluation and research. I know developed countries have adopted this, but in Uganda, I'm among the people who are promoting technology for NGOs, especially organizations that are serving rural communities. And so because of that, my mind, every single day when I wake up, my mind tells me, think of something new that can make life better for this organization. And one of the things that are to make life better for an organization in terms of its operations, efficiency, and effectiveness is technology. How? You are running very many programs with over 100 staff. Every day they got filled, they are collecting data from hundreds and thousands of people, and data is coming in all the time. Imagine if that was paper. It means you'd be spending a lot of money. But how do you stop that? How do you take away all that? Design a technology-based system, automate it, and digitize it, so that wherever they are, in USA, South Africa, Canada, Kisoro, Kanungu, imagine when our program goes to all those countries one day, you should be able to see whatever people are doing in real time and as and when they are doing it. Jackson, that's what we've been doing ever since I joined Nyaka, to ensure that our SGBV program, sexual and gender-based violence program, is digitized, so that all our healing centers, whatever is happening with the survivors, with the perpetrators, with the outreaches, with the school social work, it all comes on one system, on my screen and on your screen and Jennifer's screen, and you can see it. You can see the numbers, you can see the stories, you can see the photos, and it's, the whole world is in front of you. That is what technology does. If that was paper, it would take us 3 years to get one figure. Look at our health program, which is featuring in Survey CTO. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we might be the first people who have designed a medical record system in a rural area like Kanungu, and specifically for Nyaka. And because of that, Survey CTO has been following us. We did a webinar with them, like you said, and also they have taken our project as a key case study for a digital health platform that is happening in November in Washington, DC. Jackson, we sit and think creatively to design these systems. They don't exist. We simply wake up, think, we envision and paint a picture of what it would be if we had an SGBV digitized system. Then we put it in place. We ask ourselves, what would it be if we are tracking all our learners wherever they are studying in all the very many universities in Uganda and at our Nyaka schools? We think and put it in place. Then we think, what would it look like if we are tracking all the 20,000 grandmothers that we're working with on a computer? We create the system and we put in place. The same with all the other programs you're doing. And because of that, there is a lot of efficiency right now in reporting. People feel good when they see their contributions through the numbers and the stories that are on our systems. There's a lot of order within the organization, and also it's easy to get data, it's easy to write reports. We are saving like 95% of what we would have spent on paper. The time we use to generate information and reports, we are saving up to almost 99%. Efficiency, effectiveness, speed, and saving cost. All those are the advantages and the impact. And of course, last year, because of all this digitization, we were able to write our first impact report. And Jackson, another one is coming in January. Yes. And it's going to open more doors as we continue working. And you know, Jackson, I know at Harvard, you must be thinking strategically, but in line with technology. And it's the right thing to do now and in the future. And of course, with your vision and leadership, and every time you talk about technology, I feel so comfortable knowing that our future as Nyaka is technology, but while having impact on the day-to-day communities where we work.
Well said. Innovation, creativity, efficiency. Those are all tweetable moments right there. For our Twitter followers, there you go. And tag Paul Nzerebende on Twitter. Then you can also see his Harvard articles that he continues to share. How did you find Survey CTO organization quickly? And then we will go into how has technology advanced, it's the future, into the AI, and what can people learn? They will learn from Hamza, who talked about a lot, who's studying it at PhD level.
Yes.
But for you who's in the rural areas of Uganda, how can people apply AI as we get closer to finishing this conversation?
Yeah, Jackson, as we look down on this conversation, as we wind it up, you know, Survey CTO has competitors, but I find it the most suitable. And I've always told them that you guys have the best platform that anyone can use for data collection. Why? They have a media presence globally. They have accounts on Twitter, that is X, and everyone LinkedIn. So it's easy to see their posts, but also For every NGO like Nyaka, which works with multiple participants or beneficiaries, and also with multiple programs going on at the same time, SurveyCTO has positioned itself as the best solution for data management and data collection. And you know, when I joined the NGO world, that's how I discovered SurveyCTO. I know very many organizations are using it, but at Nyaka, we are privileged that we sit down and innovate systems that are unique and robust. And I think that's how SurveyCTO has piqued interest in Nyaka's work, because we innovate, create things which are not there. And so with the advancement in technology, I'm predicting this, Jackson.
Yes,
in the coming years, our grandmothers will not just be using their usual phones, these small ones.
yes.
There will be a system where grandmothers are able to use technology, even in their local language. They will be receiving money through that technology. They will not be walking 10 kilometers to go to a mobile money like they are doing right now down there in Nengo and other places.
Yes.
I'm predicting that with AI, there will be a platform whereby survivors of SGBV will not call our team to drive 70 kilometers deep into Nyarushanje and Nyakshen.
Yes,
There
yes,
will be a platform, yes, maybe there will be a platform where they simply touch something and then Nyaka is notified that, hey, something has happened at my
yes,
household, and it will be cheap. It will be
yes,
cheap, it will be affordable for everyone. So AI is the way to go. We can only catch up as the world evolves, especially as we're working with rural communities. We can only catch up. And I would say, Jackson, every single day, Jennifer asks me, our chief operating officer, that Paul, confirm to me that our technology is among the top technology globally. And I confirm to her that yes. And as evidence, in December, our project will feature at a global event where we're expecting more than 5,000 attendees globally. And so I'm so glad that we are on the right path.
yes. The future is in technology. That future is in the hands of everybody who has a gadget in their hands. Oh, I run and walk every single day. I'm able to track all of that here, and anybody around the world can see it. Women, empowering women to live is my next chapter from now until I die. And that chapter is all embedded in this technology. While you are talking, I said, that is the preacher's son right there. You envision a future where women have technology in their hands, a future where a child is sexually assaulted and touch something and it informs everybody. This country has a thing called 911. No matter where you are in your place and something happens, you hit 911, all the police and rescue sections will be informed there's something there. Our girls get raped and it takes us weeks to find out. By the time they get from Rwanda near Lake Bunyonyi to get to Calvary Referral Hospital, so much evidence is gone. They have walked through water, rain has washed up the evidence, and perpetrators keep walking. So I see that future with you, Paul, but most importantly, also the future where women are empowered to make decisions. How many children they want to have, how much money they want to spend today, when they earn and when they spend. Oh, we see the future together, preacher man.
Yes.
Very, 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 very well put. SurveyCTO, we will share the conference website in this episode. We will make sure we tie into what they are doing, and we'll make sure they get a link to this. So great partnership, great evidence-based and data-driven. You are right. While I'm at Harvard, I'm looking at the digital divide. I've had conversations where I'm recording this same conversation and the technology gives up on the other end and we can't finish it. I always say, we need to get rid of that. That cannot happen when I'm speaking to Nicholas, who is in New York at university. But with somebody in Kanungu, Uganda, Kenya. The other day I was talking to a guy in Nairobi, a footballer, great conversation. Editor told me, We can't use it because every sentence he made, it was 3GB. His connection was 3GB, and we don't have 5GB. So thank you for sparing time. The question I'm going to finish with, which I've asked every single guest on this show, what advice would you give your younger self? If you were 18 years and 21, and somebody would have given you the best advice, what would it have been?
Yeah, Jackson, it is very simple. If I was 18, I would have planned to start a small bank at the age of 20. You know why? Money and finance is what's driving everything that the world is doing. Look at the NGO space. It is thriving on sponsorship, grants, and donations. But look at the economic empowerment happening globally. Everything is about money. When you need to empower women, it's about funding them. When you need to empower girls, it's funding their education. Whatever you want to do, it's about funding, finances, and money. If I was 18, I would plan to start a microfinance support center in form of a bank or a money lending institution or a small microfinance to focus on empowering communities that are underserved, that don't have the privilege like other people have in the urban centers, the businessmen, the developed countries. And that bank, I would ensure that it grows and serves more people. Jackson, this is not about, because I work with Nyaka, which is a specialist in funding communities that are hard to reach and supporting them to set up small businesses and the rest. It's not about that, but it's the fact, the reality of life, that without funding, the world will not move as it is supposed to move. And this is the biggest challenge everywhere. And I know why you're thinking that the grandmother program should scale beyond Rwanda and Rukunjira and Kanungu. It's because you can see the gap. The financial gap is evident. Yes. I mean, why wouldn't I do the same, Jackson, to support your work? So that's what I would do if I was 18. I would look at setting up something like that at the age of 20 and then grow with it. But maybe it's not yet too late. I'm still thinking about it.
It's never too late. The best time to start is not yesterday, is today. And in that same regard, when you think of the finances, Paul, I've been to Singapore many times. Singapore got independence the same year Uganda got independence. The financial systems of the world are near all headquartered or have a branch in Singapore. They invested in business, the financial services, and that takes to our parents who are listening to us. Your child is born, start an account for that child, an interest-bearing account. By that time child goes to school, they have enough to take them to college. Our Nicholas, the firstborn, is going to graduate engineering school at the Rochester Institute of Technology without taking a single debt. Obama and Michelle went to a White House when they were still paying debts. We can plan, but boy from Nyaka can do it, anybody can do it. That's for parents. The other thing I have said many times is, we all know we are going to die. Start saving money for your funeral. Often, where you're going to be buried, put it aside. In this country, it is called life insurance.
Yes.
You put money aside. So when you die, these fundraising events of somebody has died, now I can't bury them, I need to fundraise, is all an act of planning. These people were eating life, taking girls out, buying prostitutes' cars, buying whatever they want, and then they die, and the family wants to fundraise to bury them. Plan. Put money aside. We can do it. Those are all things we need to unlearn and relearn, we always say. I promise to you, a man, that will be done on top of the hour. It is 10 p.m. in Uganda, 3 p.m. in the United States. We thank you for giving us opportunity to speak with you. Thank you, Terry, your wife and your children. We apologize for taking night time from Daddy and Hadi. From them, we appreciate you and we look forward to seeing you soon. Continue to do amazing work you do and tell your parents we appreciate what they did with you.
Thank you so much for hosting me, Jackson. I'm humbled.
Wonderful. Continue to share, subscribe, follow, and suggest other people we can talk to. Transformational in nature, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. So this CTO would never have gotten to Kanungu without Paul Nzerebende. Digging deep, learning, self-learning, but also finding solutions in effective way, in efficient way, and effective way. Thank you, sir.